Hello. Okay. Hello, good morning. Before we get started, I would ask you to please put your phones on vibrate. My name is Cheryl Sachs, and together with Nancy Freed Tanzer, I co-chair AJC Westchester Fairfield's Interfaith and Intergroup Relations Committee and oversee our regional community of conscience, an association of individuals who are concerned for the future of this great country, who appreciate its fundamental strengths, and who share the conviction that it must overcome its challenges. But more on that in a little while.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carmen Hughes, and I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the City of Stamford. And it is wonderful to see so many of our leaders and so many from our community here this morning. And we're so blessed to have such a beautiful day for this awesome occasion. And we warmly welcome you to Stamford, Connecticut.
So please join us in extending our deep appreciation to the four co-chairs of this breakfast who have worked to make this program such a success. Taleh Hafiz of the Stamford Islamic Center, Reverend Mark Lingle of St. Francis Episcopal Church and the Interfaith Council of Southwest Connecticut, Sergeant Adriana Molina, head of the Behavioral Health Unit of the Stamford Police Department, and this year's Citizen of the Year. And Jerry Silber of AJC Westchester Fairfield's Executive Committee. We'd also like to extend our sincere thanks to Mayor Caroline Simmons for her leadership in envisioning this breakfast, and to Janine Freeman, Special Assistant to Mayor Simmons, and Carmen Hughes for their leadership and tenacity in turning the vision into reality. A huge thank you to Alice Knapp, CEO of the Ferguson Library, for opening this space and to Chris Vincent, Coordinator of Administrative Services, for his attention to detail. The detail of logistics to ensure this room was set perfectly for today. And it goes without saying that I would like to express my deep gratitude to my colleagues at AJC Westchester Fairfield for their tireless work in bringing about this event. Myra Clark Siegel, Regional Director, Jill Friedman, Associate Regional Director, Beth Melman, Associate Regional Director, Nancy Freed Tanzer, and the Connecticut Governmental Outreach Committee, co-chaired by Stephanie Barron, Sue Frieden, and Susan Stern. It is fitting that the inaugural Connecticut Diversity Breakfast takes place here in Stamford, the 16th most diverse city in the United States, with people of color comprising over half the population, 1/3 are foreign born, the multiplicity of religions practiced here, and impressively, at least 75 different languages spoken. Once again, our community's strength has been tested by world events. We've always stood together as a community, and we know that we are united by our belief in the ideals of equality, of dignity, and of opportunity for all. We staunchly reject all forms of hate, bigotry, intolerance, incendiary partisanship, dehumanizing and demonizing rhetoric, and threats of violence. Whatever tests to our solidarity lie in the road ahead, we know that if we continue to stand together, we will overcome any challenge. Together, we represent a plurality of faiths, ethnicities, countries of origin, genders, gender identities, ages, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Amid rising incidents of racism, extremism, and religious discrimination, we must stand united.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I do echo all of your expressions of gratitude. But I do want to personally say thank you to Janine Freeman, Jill Friedman, and Beth Millman. The four of us have been talking nonstop for the past year to put this together. There was no train, plane, or automobile that stopped us from having a conversation and thinking this through. So I really just wanted to say sincere thank you to the three of you. I'm going to miss our daily calls. And I think it's safe to say that putting this together was definitely a labor of love. I also would like to give a huge thank you to Rhonda Krishla, who is the Vice President, Chief Diversity Officer of Charter Communications. Charter Communications is our sponsor for today's event. So thank you, Rhonda, and thank you to the whole Charter organization. As we embark on this community conversation and call to action, I want to share why this is meaningful to me. I refer to my office as the Office of Ideas, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Strategies for Stanford. And I do this because ensuring we have a culture of inclusion is the magic ingredient to a successful diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy. One of my primary goals for my office is to ensure that we are being proactive and responsive to the needs of our community in equitable and inclusive ways that have not been prioritized in the past. We have chosen the theme, Stand Together, Hate Will Not Divide Us, because we wanted to embrace the critical need for us to come together in a spirit of unity and compassion, and to affirm that hate will not divide us. The circle, the people of bright and vibrant colors of our logo represent the richness and beauty of our differences when they come together. We were intentional and deliberate about every detail of today's interactive program. It was curated to create space and to collectively commit to friendship, love, understanding, and empathy. We hope today's conversation will serve as a platform for voices to be heard, perspectives shared, and bridges built. It is now my honor to introduce Pastor Nestor Gomez of the First Congregational Church in Stanford, who will offer an invocation.
Thank you. Well, let me bring the diversity. Today we use cell phones. And I hope to read this prayer in the next 45 minutes. Join me in prayer. Almighty God, you created unity in the midst of diversity. Dios Todopoderoso, creaste la unidad en medio de la diversidad. You created all people in your image. We thank you for the stunning variety of races and cultures in this world. We acknowledge that human diversity is an expression of your manifold love for your creation. Creaste a todas las personas conforme a tu imagen. Y te agradecemos esta asombrosa variedad de razas y culturas en todo el mundo. Reconocemos que la diversidad humana es una expresión de tu múltiple amor por toda tu creación. God, thank you that you have made us different from one another. Thank you that you did not make one person, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and millions and thousands of millions. Thank you that we do not speak one language, but we can praise your name in many languages. We thank you for the beauty of diversity. Dios, gracias porque no nos has hecho diferentes unos de otros. Gracias porque no hiciste una sola persona, sino 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 y millones y miles de millones. Gracias porque no hablamos un solo idioma, pero podemos alabarte en muchas lenguas. Te damos gracias por la belleza de la diversidad. We confess that in our brokenness as human beings, we turn diversity into a source of alienation, injustice, oppression, and wounding. Confesamos que en nuestro quebrantamiento y dolor como seres humanos, hemos convertido la diversidad en una fuente de alienación, injusticia, opresión y dolor. Empower us to recognize and celebrate cultural diversity and difference as your great gift to the human family. Danos el poder para reconocer y celebrar la diversidad cultural y la diferencia como tu gran don para la familia humana. Enables us to be the architects of understanding, respect, and love. Y capacítanos para ser arquitectos del entendimiento, el respeto y el amor. This is our prayer for unity, because hate will not divide us. Esta es nuestra oración por la unidad y hacia la unidad, porque el odio no nos va a dividir. Thank you. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Sue Frieden, and I am co-chair of the Connecticut Governmental Outreach Committee for AJC Westchester Fairfield. It's my pleasure to be here today with you and to introduce our unity prayer. AJC crafted this unity prayer for AJC's America's Table as a firm expression of solidarity and commitment to unity between our diverse communities. Will all those leading us in the recitation of the unity prayer please come forward? The prayer located in your program is responsive, and we ask that you all respond with the text in italics. Pastor Bradley will begin with the reading of the prayer. Thank you.
Good morning. May we pray together in unity. God, creator of all, we pray for an America of the people, by the people, for the people, in all its religious, racial, and ethnic diversity coming together in unity. Together we read. We are heirs of many proud traditions that have known oppression and labored for liberation. We will not detest until all are redeemed. Do unto others and strive.
At a time when hate is rising, we commit to modeling love. We will show the better way, how light overcomes darkness and justice defeats evil. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny.
Allow them to prevail. We cherish and defend democracy and pluralism as bedrock foundations for America's future. We reject denigration and exclusion and embrace elevation and inclusion.
As we reaffirm and reinforce our constitutional system, seek equal justice for all, and safeguard for fundamental freedoms. We pray that you, God, will be with us as we join together in fixing the broken and fulfilling the promise of a healed world.
Turn us toward you, God. We will turn to you. Renew us on this day. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Susan Stern, and I am a co-chair. Okay, thank you. Is this better? My name is Susan Stern, and I'm a co-chair of the Connecticut Government Outreach Committee of Westchester Fairfield, AJC. I'm here today with great pleasure and honor to introduce our Community of Conscience Privilege Principles. AJC unveiled our National Community of Conscience in 2019, and we're proud to introduce and launch our Community of Conscience here in Stamford today. As a community of conscience, we staunchly reject all forms of hate, bigotry, intolerance, incendiary partisanship, dehumanizing and demonizing rhetoric, and threats of violence. Whatever tests to our solidarity lie in the road ahead, we know that if we continue to stand together, we will overcome those challenges. Will all those leading us in the recitation of the Community of Conscience Principles please come forward? Before all the rest of you leave today, we hope that you will each sign the poster to affirm your commitment and join the Community of Conscience. Alice Knapp will begin with the first principle. Thank you.
Good morning. Join us in the spirit of the American motto, E pluribus unum, as we unite across differences, celebrate our diversity, contribute to a shared society, and resolve to advance the welfare of all.
Lori Rhodes. I didn't hear you. What am I reading?
You're reading this one here.
Okay. Join us in the spirit of patriotism as we strive proudly and boldly to uphold American ideals of equality, of dignity, of opportunity for all.
Join us in the spirit of civility as we reject anti-Semitism and all forms of bigotry, incendiary partisanship, whatever its sources, dehumanizing and demonizing rhetoric, and threats of violence.
Join us in the spirit of democracy as we reaffirm and reinforce our constitutional system, seek equal justice for all, and safeguard our fundamental freedoms.
Join us in the spirit of American pluralism as we promote mutual respect, not mere tolerance, as the standard for enlightened coexistence.
Join us in the spirit of inclusiveness as we reach out to and uplift the poorest among us, as we welcome the stranger in our midst, and as we fully enfranchise the disabled.
Join us in the spirit of love as we counter those who purvey hate, intolerance, and incivility, especially those who legitimize their inappropriate practices based on Holy Writ.
Join us in seeking to fulfill the biblical teaching that we are all B'Tselem Elohim, that is, all created in the divine image, the very foundation of human equality.
And join us in pursuing the prophet Isaiah's age, old vision that one day nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That peace, love, and unity will reign for those who believe as we do, that our liberty and aspirations depend on the noble principles articulated by President Lincoln and defended by generations of brave Americans since the founding of this republic. Our call could not be more urgent.
Good morning. Oops. Good morning. Is it working? Yeah. My name is Stephanie Barrand, and I'm a co-chair of Connecticut Government Outreach Committee for AJC. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all here today and acknowledge those elected officials who are with us or who plan to be with us, maybe not here yet. Attorney General William Tong, State's Attorney Paul Forensic, Representative Tom O'Day, Representative Hector Ozano, Gloria DePina, who's District Director for Congressman Jim Hines, Greenwich First Selectman Fred Camillo, Greenwich First Select Person Janet Stone McGuigan, Darien First Selectman John Zagrodzky, Westport First Select Woman Jennifer Tooker, Ridgefield First Selectman Rudy McCroney, and Fairfield First Selectman William Gerber. For 22 years, AJC has been hosting a Thanksgiving Diversity Breakfast in Westchester. In 2022, we were delighted to have Mayor Simmons as one of our keynote speakers. Inspired by what she experienced and the unity of the community that she witnessed, Mayor Simmons had the vision to replicate the breakfast here in Stanford. It is now my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, the Honorable and wonderful Mayor Caroline Simmons.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for such a kind introduction. I wish my toddler boys could hear that wonderful when they were screaming at me this morning, getting out the door. I'm so delighted to be here with all of you for our city's first official inaugural diversity breakfast. And yes, big round of applause. And you're right, it's hard to believe when we first attended this in Westchester, my team and I, Bridget and I walked out, we were so inspired by this event. We said, we have to bring this to Stanford. And about a year and a half later, we are all here thanks to very hard work of so many partners in this room. But first want to thank AJC for your extraordinary partnership and all the work you're doing for our city and our world right now. I also want to say a big thank you to Carmen Hughes and Janine Friedman, who have been working tirelessly for literally the past year on this breakfast. Last night, they were here setting up. They were loading up their car with all the materials for today. You've got some wonderful table exercises coming up, and they've been doing a great job preparing for that. I also just want to thank all of our faith leaders and community leaders who have taken the time to be here out of your busy schedules. We very much appreciate you being here and are immensely grateful for the work that you're doing to spread more love and hope and unity across our city in your daily work and the countless causes that you give back to in our city every day. So big round of applause for our faith leaders and community leaders. And I want to welcome all of our surrounding officials, our first selectmen, first select women from neighboring towns for coming here today. We're so grateful you're in Stanford. It's a wonderful bipartisan group. We not only have religious diversity, we've got political diversity in the room, which is always wonderful. And we want to welcome you to Stanford. And we hope the traffic wasn't too bad. Now that 95 is back open, we're glad you're all here. So just looking around this room and hearing that unity prayer, I'm so truly moved to be in here with all of you and so proud of our community. And it reminds me that only in America is this possible, where you have people from all different faiths and backgrounds coming together, living together peacefully, working together, praying together, moving forward together in such a loving way. And it makes me so proud and humbled to get to be your mayor and to get to work alongside all of you to further that mission. And I truly think our diversity in Stanford is not only an asset, but one of our city's greatest strengths. And I know all of you in this room wouldn't be here if you didn't agree with that too. And it's something to not only spread more love and tolerance around, but it's something to truly celebrate. The fact that we have people who speak over 75 different languages, who come from nearly every continent on this earth to live in Stamford, Connecticut, to pursue their dreams and raise a family and work in our city is truly extraordinary and something we should be so proud of, but also something we shouldn't take for granted and something we need to continue to work to make sure we're celebrating that diversity and making sure our city is a city of opportunity for everyone. So I wanted to share a couple of things that the city of Stamford is doing in that effort before you get into your tabletop exercises. So first and foremost, I wanted to highlight the phenomenal work that Carmen Hughes on our team is doing. So Carmen, for those of you who don't know, is our city's first diversity, equity, and inclusion director. I want to thank the concerned clergy and so many of you in this room who advocated for this position, which has been so critical to our city. And under Carmen's leadership, she has created a whole new office within our city government, her ideas office, inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. I hope I got all the acronym correct. And her team in this office meet monthly to talk about ways we can continue to improve and make our city more inclusive and accessible. And they've made so much progress on everything from making our sidewalks more ADA compliant to making our government center building more accessible. If you go into the government center lately, you'll see some changes in the lobby, and a lot of that is designed around accessibility. She's also done things like making our website more inclusive to people who speak different languages. So if you go to the stanfordct.gov website now, you can get the website translated into over 100 different languages, thanks to the work that Carmen and her team are doing. She's also working to embed DEI goals into everything we do as a city. She has personally led diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings for hundreds of city employees, all of our boards and commissions, and dozens of nonprofits, including the library. So if you haven't experienced this training yet and your organization is interested in that, please let us know. Carmen's a fantastic facilitator, and I learn something new every time I hear one of her trainings. She has also been working with our team along with Bridget and Rachel and Janine and Leah and so many others to get more diverse appointments to our boards and commissions so that we can have a city that looks like our wonderful diverse population. So I'm pleased to report that we've appointed over 55, I think is the latest count, new people to boards and commissions, and over half of them have been people of color and women, which is wonderful. And we want to continue that progress. So please let us know if you are interested in serving on a board or commission. You may have heard we have some expired seats, some vacancies to fill. We'd love to get you on board, or if you know someone who might be interested in serving, please reach out to our team, let us know. I also want to highlight the wonderful flag raisings that Carmen and Janine and members of our team have been leading. We've hosted dozens of flag raisings outside the government center to celebrate the wonderful cultural diversity we have in our city. So everything from Peruvian flag raisings to the Jamaican flag raising to the Irish flag raising. And if you haven't been yet, we invite you to join us. It is so much fun. We have music and dancing, and you learn amazing things about the rich cultural traditions we have in our city. So we have the Haitian flag raising coming up in about 2 weekends, and we'd love for you to join us for these. In fact, these are happening so frequently. My husband every weekend says, "Which flag raising do you have this weekend?" Because he knows it's coming. And then finally, Carmen has also, and our team have also helped lead a kindness initiative. And I want to thank the partnership with clergy and faith leaders in the room on this effort, where our goal is to conduct 100,000 acts of kindness in our city over the next year. And we've been really inspired by a lot of the progress that students have led on this, from painting kindness rocks to writing kindness notes to seniors. And we have a lot of these on display at our government center, but we'd love to invite you to be a part of this so we can continue to spread more kindness and love in our city. And in fact, the fact that all of you are here today, I think counts. We've got over 100 people in the room. I think each of you being here should count towards our goal of an act of kindness, taking the time to show up today. So those are just some of the examples of the work that we are doing. But more than that, we're also making substantial policy progress on making our city more inclusive and equitable and a city of opportunity for everyone. One example, we know that we're facing a housing crisis in our country, and Stamford has really been a leader on adding more inclusive housing policies and opportunity. And since I signed my executive order on affordable housing, we have made progress towards our goal of creating 1,000 affordable housing units. We've completed or have in the pipeline 637 units to be exact, and we're making progress towards that 1,000 unit goal. We also, when you think about an entrepreneur who comes to our city with a dream to start a business, we want to make sure that our city is an easy place to do business. We know access to capital is critical for that. So under the leadership of Leah Kagan and our economic development team, we launched a small business grant program to provide access to capital. And out of the 176 grants that we distributed, 120 of them were women and minority-owned businesses. So we're so grateful for the work that you're doing there and want to continue to build on that. And then finally, I'll say that we're working to build in equity and inclusivity into our infrastructure goals. Now, you often don't hear about equity when you're talking about infrastructure, but for the first time in our country, the Biden administration has put a focus on any grants we apply for have to be focused on equity and connecting our community. So I'm pleased to report we just received a $17 million grant from the federal Reconnecting Communities program to connect disadvantaged communities. And this is going to provide a 12-foot wide walking and biking pathway from the west side to Mill River down to the transportation center in Stamford. And this new sidewalks initiative that we're launching for the first time is building in equity goals around it. So in everything we're doing, we're really trying to embed equity and inclusion goals for our city. And I think particularly right now, when you look at what's going on in the world, when there's so much geopolitical uncertainty, so much violence, so much divisiveness and hate and rising anti-Semitism and racism and all of the horrific hate and bigotry that we're seeing, it's more important than ever that we come together for events like this. And so I'm so proud and grateful to all of you for being here. And I wanted to just give a shout out to a couple of firsts that the city has achieved in the past 2 years. In partnership with AJC and UJC, we were the first city to adopt the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance anti-Semitism definition, which we are very grateful to have been a part of. We were the first city to make Juneteenth a paid city holiday and to recognize this citywide. Thank you again to Carmen for your leadership on that. We are also the first city to make Eid al-Fitr a school holiday, and we're very proud of the progress there. And thanks to the leadership of Alice Knapp, the first city to be declared a book sanctuary city to preserve intellectual freedom. And so these are just some of the efforts that we're so proud of and that really show that we want to be a model city for our state and for our country, to show that Stamford's a city of love, a city of opportunity for everyone. So thank you so much to all of you for being here. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you and building on this progress. And I hope you enjoy the tabletop exercises today. We're really eager to hear your feedback on what more we can do to make Stamford a more inclusive and welcoming place for all. So thank you so much, everyone.
Is this mic that works? Excellent. Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Friedhanser. I am co-chair along with Cheryl Sachs of AJC's Interfaith Intergroup Relations. And I'm so excited to be here. And I was so excited to hear all the things that Stanford is doing. That's really, really wonderful. In a moment, we will ask each of you to turn to your fellow table mates and dive into our table discussions. We hope you took time earlier to briefly introduce yourself to each other. If not, please do so quickly before your table facilitator initiates your table discussions. Also, with your permission, we ask that each table have a photo taken. Just ask someone from another table, look for a friendly face from another table to take a picture of your table. And your table facilitator will also ask for a volunteer at your table to take brief notes of the discussion so that we can share those with everyone. Our table discussions are designed to enact the goals of the breakfast, to build bridges, learn from our different beliefs, backgrounds, and views, and grapple with how we promote respect for our diversity throughout the year. And so now we begin our discussions. a cherished tradition at previous diversity breakfasts, and for many, the highlight of the breakfast. We welcome and champion each person's voice. Your table facilitator will be passing around a sheet for you to provide your name and contact information, which will be shared with those at your table so that you can continue your conversations and connections after the breakfast has concluded. Right now, we see and hear the serious issues impacting our communities, which are resulting in painful divisions and friction between many. We ask that you respect the opinions and words of your table mates and work together to have productive and civil discussions. I wish you productive and fruitful discussions, and please enjoy them.
Good morning again. I just want to give you a 3-minute warning. I hope you're enjoying your table discussions, but please start wrapping them up.
All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. So I absolutely love hearing all of the buzz that was in the room for these conversations because they are just so important for us to have. So in spirit of the fact that this is a community conversation, I thought it'd be great if we can have a couple of share outs from what's happened at your table. If maybe what the facilitators could give one share out from your table, I'll come around with the microphone and we can just hear what you had to say at your table. It was just one, because we want to make sure we all get out on time. So just share one thing that came out of your table. Which table would like to go first? Gigi, I see your hand.
Thank you so much. I'm so inspired and honored to be here. And I just think that it's so incredible, everything that you're doing. But the one thing that I think that we got together and we all agreed with is just how can we work together more? How can we work against hate? And the inspiration of these people that are sitting at this table. I mean, I want to come to your Unitarian churches and share with you, because I talked about we had sacred spaces and now we have the interfaith. But thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Gigi. Thank you for going first. Is there another table that would like to share your remarks? Alice?
Okay, well, it was hard to herd these cats because we were having so much fun. And so it's no surprise that when we're talking, given current events and the rise in acts of hate, how do we resolve this? And we said, talking to one another, learning from one another, being continuous learners, and of course, breaking bread with one another.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ariella Fishman. I'm from the AJC Westchester Fairfield. And we basically were talking about like education in terms of social media, because a lot of times people disregard it as like oh, it's only disinformation, but it actually can be a real tool for people to like interact and communicate. But it also needs to, you need to see like not just what the content, like the bias is, but the content, like what is true, because that really is important to have real discussions. Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. And since she had the mic, I'm going to take this moment. This is a high school senior who is volunteering and interning with the AJC. And I just think she's been a phenomenal partner with us. She came to one of our meetings, gave great ideas. Thank you. And I just think it's so phenomenal. You stood up and shared out for the table. So thank you so much. So important to include our youth.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bergman. I'm also with AJC Fairfield, Westchester. And we were basically talking about getting down to the basics of having more in common than we have apart. And when somebody's really disagrees with you, if we can go through the layers and start off with something like even as basic, we both love our mothers, to start off really basic and then add on to and build from there and try to make people realize that we're a lot more in common and start with that. And education in the schools is also getting to kids before things are too ingrained.
Hi. So our group just kept chatting, and we discussed the importance of volunteering together and not only bridging certain gaps, but the gap of ageism. So we came up with some ideas as far as volunteering goes, how we can volunteer, create some health fairs, create some fairs. But out of this, we also talked about that we do have the responsibility to work together as a law enforcement, as an interfaith leaders and agencies. And I mentioned the fact that we do have Faith in Blue annually. It's a national event, and we're going to continue the conversation more. And what this is basically an opportunity for the police department and interfaith leaders to get together and address and promote community unity. So that was one of the things we talked about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Derek Grossman. I work for AJC Westchester. And kind of two things that stood out to me. One, Edith said that I really liked was about really thinking about educating our children and working for our children and making sure that they can see the finish line clearly. I really like the way she kind of phrased that, to make sure that we're getting all them together and we're able to kind of make things more accessible for them. And then another one, Marla was talking about her grandfather, and I might be slightly misquoting it, but she said her grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and he said, "You can't hate someone once you get to know them." And I really like that quote.
Hi, my name is Adam Kohavi. I'm the office coordinator at AJC Westchester Fairfield, and our group, similar to the other groups, really spoke about the importance of just talking to one another. And at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We all want to feel safe, happy, secure, and we also spoke about the importance of teaching our youth how to access these facilities and resources that Mayor Simmons was speaking about earlier, how to do that in Stamford, how to do that in New York City, how to do that in Norwalk, how to reach that everywhere. Moreover, something important we spoke about was the importance of how we influence our kids and how it's easy to tell them to do one thing, but they really act as you do. So act as you'd like your kids to act as you'd like your peers to act, and be the best version of yourself you can be.
All right.
We had a wonderful conversation. We also had some more diversity. Janet from the Greenwich Town Committee was with us, so it's not just a Stamford thing, but it's a regional thing. It was great to have her here. And one of the things she mentioned was the white nationalist, white supremacist activity just a couple of weeks ago in Greenwich. And really, we began to talk about the intimidation that takes place and how important it is to stand up and to realize how people are being impacted, silenced because of that intimidation. One of the things that we were talking about was, has been mentioned as well, this the need to get to know people, to be engaged with each other. The example for me was years ago after 9/11, a parishioner saying that Muslims were trying to destroy us. And my question was, do you know a Muslim? And the question was, and the answer was no. And the invitation was, you should get to know a Muslim to change your perspective on what was said at that point. But clearly the importance of those relationships, but also the reality of the intimidation that exists.
I'm Nancy Friedhanser from AJC. Our group also talked about the idea of a volunteer fair rather than just a volunteer center, so that we really get out into the community and let people know what volunteer opportunities there are. And Gloria had mentioned going into each other's neighborhoods and really seeing who else is there and what they may be experiencing or what resources are lacking.
So good morning. My name is Evelyn Klein, and we had an absolutely wonderful discussion here. Everybody participated. Yes, we did discuss finding common ground and forming partnerships, which was critical, and starting with the young people in order to help them understand values and the differences in values. I think the other sort of interesting points is talking about all the benefits that different groups bring to each one of us, trying to highlight the benefits of what these groups, whoever they are, different groups, immigrants, the advantages they bring, and also, creating in corporations safe spaces so that different groups feel safe to come in and discuss, whether it's in corporations or in other groups. And we also discussed about the importance of leadership. Again, whether it's leadership from religious leaders, from corporate leaders, from all the different NGOs, it is critical for them to help show the way and spread the word around. We talked a lot about how do we not just speak to a group like us who are, we all have those shared values. How do we reach out to people who are don't think the same way? And I think the answer to that was, we need to do more PR that shows the benefits of including different groups. And I think that was it, right?
Hi, I'm Kathy Whitfield. Our group didn't get past question number 4. It was very interesting. And we talked about how we could dispel, how we could start to eliminate and water down the them versus us mentality. And we said our friend from AJC talked about safe spaces versus courageous spaces. And she said a safe space is when you gather with people that you have things in common with, common thoughts, ideas, doctrines, and culture. But she said a courageous space is when you gather with people that have unfamiliar backgrounds, different thoughts, different ideas, different opinions. And she said that is where you can establish respect and you can build anything, she said, once you can get past the point of us being unfamiliar with one another. And my friend here from Mill River said that in order to promote a safe space, what we have to do is get to know one another. As somebody said over at that table, that if we don't know each other, then how do we get together? And so how we get together is what we did today. Everybody coming together with different backgrounds, different opinions. And we talked about a lot of things. We talked about how when our backgrounds help us to, we all have these parts of us that are offended by what people say, what people do. And so we have to be mindful that we all have different cultures. We all come from different spaces and we all come from different experiences. And if we could create some more courageous spaces, then we believe that we're on the road to where we need to be at in this country and in the world.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Sachs. We didn't really get much past question 2. We talked a lot about how to make connections and build bridges. And I guess in summary, we thought that it would be best to meet people where they are, in their neighborhoods or in their churches, in their language. And this way we plant seeds that will grow beyond. It will have a multiplying effect. And that it's important to bring everybody into the process when a particular group or groups are being affected. And Polly said, don't do for us without us. Thank you.
Buenos días. Merhaba. Salam. Shalom. The conversations that we just had and the extraordinary thoughts and recommendations that you all provided to each other and for all of us and for all of our communities is exactly why we gathered here today. And so I want to thank you. The thanks don't go to the organizers, forgive me for saying that, but the thanks go to you. You're all extremely busy. You all had a million other things that you could have been doing this morning. But when we reached out to you, you said yes. You said, count on me. You said, I'm here. This is important. I am standing up. My name is Myra Clark Siegel, and I have the great honor and privilege to serve as Regional Director for AJC Westchester Fairfield. AJC is the oldest Jewish civil rights organization in the country. We were founded in 1906, and some days I feel like I have been part of this since 1906. But the things that we stand for at AJC is inclusiveness, it's community, it is standing against hatred and being upstanders for one another. And that is why I am so proud to be with Carmen, with Mayor Simmons, with Janine, with everybody in this room. And I want to also thank our co-chairs for standing forward and for saying yes to make today happen. As we think back in 2001, when Muslims and Sikhs were being unfairly attacked in our streets. In 2018, it was the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, simply because they were Jews. In 2021, with rising anti-Asian hatred, it was in Atlanta. In 2022, in Buffalo, the African-American community at Tops Supermarket. Today, however, in 2024, on May 7th, we stand together with the power to unite us rather than divide us. And the power is our collective response to hate. Our theme this morning, hate will not divide us, inspires us to strive forward towards this goal. But let me say something. If the conversations that we just had stay in this room, we will have failed. So I'd like to share with you a few action items that we can take. You have homework. In every corner of this world, and unfortunately across our country, we see that hate is attempting to weaken the fabric of our democratic societies through fear and division. But in the face of darkness, there is light, and that is our unity. And let us remember, as you all said so eloquently at table after table after table, that hate thrives in silence. Our voices united, standing informed and aware, is our most powerful antidote. When we choose to stand together for good, we create a formidable bulwark against intolerance. We send a clear message that there is no place for hate in our homes, in our schools, on our college campuses, in our communities, or in our cities. So I want to ask each of you to look around. Take the hand of the person sitting next to you. See and celebrate the diversity that surrounds us. You may have to reach across some tables. We have stories, we have dreams, we have cultures of our shared reality. And now I'm going to ask you to stand. And I'm going to ask Carmen to join me down here on the floor. And I'm going to do one thing. Actually, Carmen, come up here with me for 1 second. You know, if it's not on social media, it doesn't happen, right? So we're going to do two things. One, we're doing a selfie with you, because if you could see what we see from here, you will know that this is not only a good morning, but this is a great morning. So forgive me because my kids would say this is cringeworthy, but I think it's powerful. So we're going to do a selfie and then we're going to invite Olivier to come up and we're going to join you all down there. Okay, now we're going to come down with you all. Thank you, Olivia. All right, we're going to come down here. And I want you to make sure that you have introduced yourself to everybody around the table, but first look at Olivier. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if you thought that that was the only action you're taking, you're wrong. So there's a couple things. One, you can be seated again. We wanted to make sure that you worked off the carbs we gave you. So one is we're going to be sharing this photo with you. I challenge each one of you. There is so much hatred. There is so much disinformation. There is so much misinformation on social media. We have a moment. Put the light and the unity that we have together this morning on social media. We will share these photos with you. Put it out there. Take over. Let's take the narrative back in light and love and unity. It is up to each of us to show that this is what our communities are. That this is not a unique moment in our story, but this is actually the reality of our communities day in and day out. But if we don't put it out there, then as some of the tables said, we are not modeling for our kids the future that we know that we want to happen and that our kids desperately need to happen. And this is at all ages. And if anybody needs a tutorial on social media, Adam will do it. Today, we talked about and shared the 9 principles of AJC's Community of Conscience. We launched this in 2019 on our national stage at our global forum. And I want to share with you the leaders who inaugurated these Community of Conscience principles. Dr. Bernice King, daughter of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Reverend Eric Manning of Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston. Rabbi Jeffrey Myers of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Imam Talib Sharif from Masjid Muhammad, the nation's mosque. Jay Kansara from the Hindu American Foundation. Cindy Benavides from LULAC. And George Lambert Jr. from the Urban League in Washington, D.C. These leaders joined together to affirm these principles on a global stage. And that is exactly what we are doing here today, is to affirm these principles. So action item number 2, after you post the photo on social media, before you leave today, the 9 principles are on a poster on the table at the back of the room. It is not enough to say these words. When we affirm our name to something, there is meaning, there is purpose. We are modeling for others. Please sign your name on those principles, and we're going to ask Mayor Simmons to be the first person to sign her name to those principles. We hope that we will cover that board with everybody's signatures, and then we will send that photo out to you, and guess what? Share it on social media, because the tree in the forest, it's the Instagram post, and it's the photo on Facebook, and it is the photo on X. That is how we change the world. And that is how we show the reality of the unity of our communities. Third, and an easy one, our communities are in pain. A very easy thing, which all too often doesn't happen, is when there is a moment of pain facing a community, call your friends. Reach out to somebody in another house of worship. Check in. Ask how they're doing. I can promise you that that goes far. The bread that we have broken together today Let's keep doing it. Let's invite each other into our houses of worship. Let's get to know each other. Let's share our religious backgrounds and beliefs. Let's share our communities with one another. We are launching at AJC an Upstander listening tour because we want to hear from each other and share. That is how we overcome this hatred. As exactly as you said today, we get to know each other and then we are not other. And finally, this is the first of. This is the first. So Mayor Simmons and Carmen and Janine, sorry to give you more homework. But 2 years ago, I remember when Mayor Simmons came to the Thanksgiving diversity breakfast that we held in Westchester. And I remember her walking out and saying, we have to do this in Stamford. That's leadership. And we are doing this in Stamford. And we are so delighted and honored that members of government and members of clergy and community leaders are here together. But this cannot stay in this room. So next year, we will see you again, and we will expand, and we will invite members of our community to join us so that this is leaders, but it is also our children. It is also our friends, our neighbors, and this is how we truly will not let hate divide us. So I'm going to call up my friend and colleague, Carmen Hughes, to also share some words, and thank you.
Thank you. And I promise to keep this brief because we promise to stay on time and ensure that we're going to leave at 10 o'clock. And actually, all of my closing remarks have been said. But I do want to just encourage everyone truly to keep the conversation going, because what tends to happen is we're so in fear of hurting someone's feelings, saying the wrong thing, doing something wrong, that we've moved to silence. And so hearing the buzz in the room just reminds us of the importance of the conversation. So to all of the call to actions that Myra has already said, I think the most important one is to ensure that we keep the conversation going. And I love what this table said in terms of it's not about just creating the safe space, but have the courageous space. And it is about getting to know someone who doesn't look like you, who has a different background from you, who believes something different from you, who has different affinities than you. And that's how we're going to learn and grow together. So I do hope that we deepen the conversation and broaden the conversation. I do also want to just make a couple of announcements of other events that we have going on, so that way you can also expand your knowledge and your network. On June 1st, we're going to do a Pride flag raising, and Polly Moore O'Hare is organizing that with Stamford Pride. That's going to be June 1st at 12 o'clock at the Government Center. And we have flyers that she can provide you. There's a QR code if you'd like to have a Pride flag to hang. She's actually giving them away for free. We'd love you to be at Government Center for that flag raising. Juneteenth is coming up. So June 15th at Mill River Park, we're going to have a big festival from 12 to 4. So we'd love to see you at Mill River Park for Juneteenth. And then at the Government Center, we're going to be raising the Juneteenth flag at 12 o'clock. Let's see. Oh, most important too is on the back of your program. Oops, I have too many. There is a QR code. If you can scan your QR code, we'd love to hear your feedback from today's breakfast. It's just a very simple, 5 simple questions to hear what we did right, what we did wrong, what we love to see, and also to introduce us to your neighbors so that we can make sure that at next year's event, we are expanding our invitation list. And I'm sure, sorry, library, but I think we're going to need a bigger space. Sorry, Alice, but thank you for hosting us today. And one final thank you to all of you again. We really appreciate you coming today. And I think we actually are ending on time at 9:59. So thank you. I forgot the benediction. I'm so sorry. I got a little overzealous.
So can I ask you to please be seated for the benediction? It's the first time you'll ever hear that. And maybe the last. So some of you are aware that next month I'm retiring after 37 years here at Temple Bethel in Stamford. And I want to share a few hours worth of my memories. No. But I will tell you that when I came here, my thoughts of this part of Fairfield County were steeped in the legends of Gregory Peck and Gentleman's Agreement. Those who are in the younger generation, Google it. And about a decade after I arrived, I became the first rabbi to be president of our, what was called then the Council of Churches and Synagogues, now the Interfaith Council, the first rabbi. So I knew even early on that that is not what this area is all about, not just Stamford, but this area. I could walk into and did almost really every church in Greenwich, in God's Acre in New Canaan, and in Darien, and I was their rabbi, their religious leader. And that filled me with so much pride and love, and of course, love for the clergy. I went to Winton Hills Church here, Bethel AME. We exchanged Bethel pulpits one memorable weekend. And I was their rabbi. And so this is the kind of community that we've always had, and the kind of community that I pray you will continue to have for years on end, for decades on end, to be a light unto the nations, to be a city on the hill, to be a Bethel, a house of God. And so I know we are really, really working hard to find commonality, and I think we need to find commonality in this being a time of mourning and sadness. In the Jewish calendar, yesterday was Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. This is the 7th of May, 7 months since 7 October. 7, the day of Shabbat. Maybe it can be a day for us to rest, but it also needs to be a day of common resolve and hope. So God of life and love, of resistance and resilience, as we mark this day of remembrance, we're shaken to the core at the persistence of evil in our world and at the seeming triumph of hate over love. And we mourn the victims of unmitigated hatred, whether those from decades ago or months ago or just this week, anytime. We're saddened at the loss of all innocent life, including many who have died in Israel and in Gaza these past several months, and in Ukraine and throughout the world. And yet we know that even as Auschwitz can only represent the apex of evil, from its ashes emerged generations who embraced life, a Jewish state that flourished, and a spirit of unity in Europe and elsewhere that joined former enemies together in common purpose. From those ashes emerged hope then. Let the ashes of current conflict bring forth hope now. We pray that our common goals of peaceful coexistence not be extinguished by the flames of hate, that innocence be protected wherever it may dwell, and that the victims of the Holocaust stand as an everlasting memory for the world, so that what happened then will never be repeated, and that there will be an ultimate triumph of life and hope. Amen. Thank you all. One other thing, my last service is June 21st at Temple Bethel. You're all invited.
Please don't forget to sign the principles in the back. And I also want to announce that Stanford Day will be June 2nd from 10 to 2 at Mill River Park. So Stanford Day, please come out. That's sponsored by the Mayor's Multicultural Council. Thank you.